Hi all, welcome to the first video Matchbox, which is written by Ashapurna Debi. We know that it is a short story written in Bengali. It is translated from Bengali by Prasenjit Gupta. And before we begin the story, let's go through the quote at the top of the page. It's a very beautiful, thought-provoking quote. There are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. So you can choose whether to be a candle that spreads light or a mirror that reflects light. Women should choose between being a candle or a mirror and work for their own emancipation as well as for the generations to come. And it's an exhortation which is given at the top that women should choose whether to be a candle that spreads light or to be a mirror that reflects light, and it is not for themselves but for the future generation of womanhood. Let's come to the story Matchbox. Matchbox by Ashapurna Debi. I always compare women to matchboxes. Why? Because of the way matchboxes are. Even though they have enough gunpowder to set 100 langas aflame, they sit around meek and innocent in the kitchen, in the pantry, in the bedroom, here, there, anywhere. Women too are exactly the same. You want an example? So the story begins with narrator's voice. The narrator tells that I always compare women to matchboxes. It's a kind of first-person narration. Why? Because of the way matchboxes are. The narrator compares women to matchboxes. Why? Because the way matchboxes are. Even though they have enough gunpowder to set 100 langas aflame, they sit around meek and innocent. Women have caliber like that of a matchbox to set fire to even 100 langas. Langas, you know, the imagery that we get is that of Langa Dahana in Ramayana. And they have enough gunpowder to set fire to 100 langas, but still they sit around meek and innocent. But they sit idle, very innocent, very meek, very humble, very servile. In the kitchen, in the pantry, in the bedroom, here, there, anywhere. So inside the home, you can find matchboxes placed carelessly anywhere. Can be in the kitchen, can be in the pantry, maybe in the bedroom. Women too are exactly the same. They have enough gunpowder within themselves to set fire to 100 langas, but they keep quiet. They sit idle, they sit meek and innocent. You want an example? You want to see an example? Then look carefully at that enormous 3-story house in front of us. If you want to have an example, then do one thing. You just look at that house you can see in front of us. It's a 3-storied mansion. It has got 3 stairs. See, what can you see there? Just let's go and watch what happens there. So until this story is spoken by the narrator, now it suddenly shifts into another manner. It changes from first person narrative to third person. Sunday morning. The washerman has come and is waiting. It's Sunday morning. The washerman is there at the doors and he is awaiting the bundle of clothes to be washed. Moments before handing over a heap of Ajit's dirty clothes to the washerman, Nomita goes through the pockets one last time and discovers the letter. Before handing over a heap of Ajit's dirty clothes, just a few seconds before handing over the clothes, the dirty clothes of Ajit to the washerman, Nomita, the lady, she goes through the pockets one last time and discovers the letter. So usually when we wash our clothes or when we hand over our clothes for somebody to wash it, we usually check the pockets to see if there is anything valuable left out in the pocket. So it's a usual procedure. So Nomita goes through the pockets for the last time before handing over the clothes to the washerman, and she discovers the letter. She finds out a letter from the pockets of Ajit, and Nomita is the wife of Ajit. So the wife, Ajit's wife Nomita, she discovers a letter. A twisted, crumpled envelope with its mouth torn, and on the envelope Nomita's name. So the letter is, it's a very pathetic condition of the letter is described in fine words over here. A twisted, crumpled envelope with its mouth torn. So it's an envelope with its mouth torn, a torn mouth. It is opened, already opened, and it is a twisted and crumpled envelope which has not been properly treated. And on the envelope, Nomita's name. So Nomita's name was written on the envelope. That means that the letter was addressed to Nomita, and the letter was found from the pockets of Ajit. A flame goes up deep in all Nomita's nerves and veins. So suddenly there is a kind of a flame which went through Nomita's nerves and veins. So she blushed hot. She drops the clothes in her hand and sits on the bed to open the letter. The first thing she looks at is the date. So she drops the clothes, the shirt and all things she drops, and she looks at the date of the letter. That was the first thing that she looks. When did this letter arrive? Going by the date, the letter must have come about 3 days earlier. So when she looked at the date, she realized that the letter came 3 days back, 3 days earlier. She turns over the envelope and matches the postmark to the date. That too bears the same witness. So Nomita, she turned over the envelope. So usually there will be a seal, a postmark on the envelope having a dated seal, and she matches the postmark to the date. That too bears the same witness, and she confirms the fact that the letter came 3 days back. Yes, the letter came 3 days ago. Ajit has opened it and read it, and then crumbled it and twisted it and dropped it into his pocket and left it there. So she realizes that her husband Ajit has opened it and read it, and after reading the letter he crumbled it and twisted it and dropped it into his pocket and left it there. He was so careless. He crumbled the letter, he twisted the letter, and he kept it in his pockets, and it has been there since 3 days. Hasn't felt the need to mention it even once to Nomita. So after all these 3 days, he has never felt to mention the fact that Nomita, there is a letter from somebody, and he never felt the need to mention it even once to Nomita. Not for even a single time he felt the need to mention about the letter. The flame that had gone up top now burns steadily, hissing, sounding its note on each of her Nomita's mind strings. So already we have seen that there was a flame that surged up, and this flame, it started to burn steadily. She got angry and the flame started to hiss, sounding its note on each of her mind strings. So Namida's mind strings were burned steadily with that flame and the sound of hissing. So she was really disturbed and angry because this incident is not a casual oversight, it is deliberate. So why does she angry? The reason is quite simple. This incident is not a casual oversight. This is not out of carelessness. This is not out of a negligence. It is a deliberate activity of her husband. So Ajit did that purposefully. Ajit's nature is exactly like that. Now she thinks about the nature of her husband. He's like that. Somehow he has gained possession of the key to the letterbox, fishing it through the gaps among the 52 hands of this joint family. So somehow Ajit got possession of the key of the letterbox, and it's not so easy to get the key of the letterbox because he must have gone through the gaps among the 52 hands of this joint family. So around 26 people are there in that joint family, and somehow he found the key to the letter box, and whenever there is a letter with Nomida's name on the envelope, he opens and reads it first, and then does he give it to her. So whenever there is a letter with the name of Nomita on the envelope, the first thing that he does is to read the letter, and only then does he give that letter to Nomita. It is possible that oftentimes he doesn't give it to her at all, and mostly he never gives that letter to Nomita. He will be reading the letter, then he will be not passing the letter to Nomita. It is possible that oftentimes he doesn't give it to her at all. At least that is the suspicion that has taken deep root in Nomida's mind. So Nomida is very dubious. She is very doubtful that Nomida's mind, she has the doubt that it is possible that he doesn't give her the letter at all. Even though to this day Ajit cannot truthfully make the claim that he has been able to discover any letter in the slightest degree suspicious. So Ajit has been scrutinizing the letter for a long time, but until today, to this day, Ajit cannot make the claim that he found a letter suspicious. So he was not able to find any letter with the slightest degree suspicious. He couldn't find any suspicious letter addressed to Nomita. Still this ugly habit of his won't go. But still he continues. He has been continuing the process of scrutinizing the letters addressed to his wife. Not with Nomida's anger, not with her taking offense, not with her bitter reproaches, her trying to shame him, sarcasm, not with anything. Nomida tried by all possible means to offend her husband by various ways, like making him ashamed of his activity and with bitter reproaches, but she couldn't find any kind of success in her attempts. If she mentions it first, he tries to laugh it away. And if the laughter doesn't get him out of deep water, he scolds her. So whenever she mentions about this, Ajit loves it away. He will be laughing a laugh. And if laughter doesn't get him out of deep water, he scolds her. So if Nomida is not satisfied with the laughter, then he will be scolding her. Then she will be going away. She sits perfectly still for a minute and reads the letter through. Nomita, she sits still for a minute and reads the letter. It's nothing much, a letter from Nomita's mother. And she finds that it is a letter written by her mother, and it is not nothing much, a letter from her mother. We'll continue in the next video. Thank you.